What's going on, everyone? My name is Liam DeBoer. I'm here with ET Transport, and today we're going to try and figure out what's what when it comes to divorce rates within the trucking industry. Personal accounts always tilt in the direction of high divorce rates, but consensus data points towards marriage stability. Well, which one is it? Let's get into it and find out. One thing we can all be certain of is being the spouse of a truck driver puts a new spin on the term marriage. If you're new to the industry, there may be a looming sense of relationship doom, or that you'll even struggle finding a committed partner. However, if you've been married to a truck driver for some time, or are the driver yourself, you've probably adjusted to the lifestyle. There's no shortage of bad analogies for what it's like to be in a relationship with a truck driver. A lot of these come in the form of questions from people who don't understand and can't even really comprehend the lifestyle. They usually sound something like, so it's like being single for most of the month, or oh, so you're like a single parent in a sense, or your spouse is always away, how do you even talk? As if there aren't things like telephones. Now, admittedly, they aren't wrong in assuming being away for weeks at a time can add strain to a relationship. When we recently held a poll asking our followers why the divorce rates of truckers are so high, we found it boils down to just two issues. One, the long distance kiss me through the phone nature of the relationship, and two, trust. Although, despite those being the two main driving factors, they were not equally weighted. 82% of people chalked up divorces to the majority of their time being spent on the road, while only 9% said cheating or a lack of trust was a factor. Let's tackle these independently. Being away from home for long periods of time is undoubtedly a negative factor in any relationship. Communication is a pillar of any marriage, and while yes, it may not be as simple as saying, I hope you have a good day on the way out the door, it's not anywhere near impossible to maintain a proper line of communication with your spouse while you're on the road. Hell, the average couple at home spends more time staring into screens than they do each other's eyes. So what's worse? Knowing your spouse isn't around but wants to be, or is at home but seemingly doesn't want to be. On the cheating note, trust is an issue for many couples that see each other every day. Sometimes people who date long-haul drivers fear that their trucker will also date people in other towns and along their routes, or get cozy with a lot lizard at the first stop. That being said, there isn't any data that supports the claim that cheating in the trucking industry is more common than any other profession. And I'd argue that there are more cheats per capita on Wall Street than in trucking. Now, I want to be clear. I'm just stringing together my thoughts on this topic from reading trucking chat rooms. I definitely don't claim to be an expert on relationships, nonetheless trucking relationships. However, as an outsider looking in, it would seem as though a trucker's relationship faces more or less the same problems as any other relationship. They just manifest differently, which requires different solutions. I don't think anyone watching will be surprised when I say the majority of people talking about what it's like to be a trucker's spouse are female, and they all seem to have similar gripes. I'm sure the points I'm going to bring up may cause spouse warfare-induced PTSD, but I figured I'd recap them nonetheless. A lot of them were discussing the issue of their husbands being away from home as a trade-off situation. That if the money were better, the sacrifice of being on the road could make the distance between each other worth it. However, most of them believe their spouses are capable of finding local work outside of the trucking industry that pays better and allows them to be more present in family life. The reading of negative trucking relationship anecdotes started to wear on me, so I decided to look into the positives. This is when I stumbled across a couple named Dawn and Alice, who were married for 50 years and raised 4 children while Dawn was on the road. They had a few tips for anyone who is in the trucking relationship world. Schedule phone calls. Don't call whenever you feel like it, but schedule 2 calls every day. One of which while the kids are awake so they can talk to their dad, and another while they are in school or asleep to speak privately. Dawn also mentioned how much care he took in telling his partner where he is along his route, and where he is delivering each load. Knowing where Dawn was in the country gave Alice a great sense of security, which allowed her to feel like part of the work life. Although the most important piece of advice Dawn and Alice mentioned was to work out a deal and plan the days when the driver is home. The first day at home, Alice kept the kids quiet, cooked a meal, and Dawn zoned out in front of the TV napping and relaxing after being burnt out from driving. The following days, Dawn would get up early and start the chore list with the kids. They were to have a minimum of 2 family dinners while Dawn was home for his 4-day stint, and then Alice got him packed and ready to leave for the next route. One of the most eyebrow-raising solutions to the problem of spending long durations apart I found was partners teaming up and hitting the road together. Then I thought, well, that has to be a pretty rare occurrence, but upon looking deeper into it, it's not as uncommon as I assumed. Now, again, I have no experience in this arena, so in an effort to relay the pros and cons of the dynamic duo situation, I had to defer to chat rooms. And here's what I found. Pro, and probably the most obvious one, is the chance to drive more miles and in turn make more money. Con, despite being separated by just a few feet, opposite sleeping schedules can shatter the illusion that you'd get even more time together. Pro, even if your spouse is asleep beside you, the long-lasting feeling of loneliness can be erased. Con, I think we can all imagine the arguments that would arise if one spouse is a better driver than the other. Pro, it can eliminate some of the issues team drivers typically face, such as disputes over sleeping quarters or personality conflicts. So what does the data say? Is there a crisis of divorce within the trucking industry? Well, surprisingly, it points towards the answer no. In 2010, a consensus study was done on divorce rates by occupation. Dancers, including the exotic ones, posted a 43% divorce rates, bartenders with a 38%, roofers 27%, sailors 26%, and way down the line, coming in at 19%, were truckers. This is well below the national standard, which, depending on where you look, will give you numbers between 40 to 50% of marriages in America ending in divorce. Well, that's all from me, folks. What do you think? Are divorces as prevalent as they seem by personal accounts? Do you have any tips for viewers who may be trying to keep their relationship on the road? Let us know in the comments below. If you did enjoy this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to keep up with new content, and we'll see you next time.